Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks on TVC. Today's edition is very, very important to the fact that we're trying to unravel the events of October the 20th, 2020 at Lekki Tollgate when soldiers arrived to disperse protesters. My guest today is an eyewitness of that event, and in the last half hour, she has been recounting what she saw. She has confirmed that indeed the soldiers shot at protesters, that they were shooting everywhere. She's simply known as Sarah. Prior to this time, we have never had a physical meeting, and the only encounter that we've had has been via phone communication. And now we're actually interacting via this interview on Fireworks. Yes, her identity will be protected to the extent that we can only disclose her first name. What she's doing is very brave, very bold, and we commend her for it. Thank you, Sarah, for your time so far and the evidence that you're providing.
Yes, thank you, Bukola.
Let's continue the conversation now, Sarah. You have mentioned about 3 to 4 persons that you saw, one person that you were trying to help that was actually lifeless. Did you know these persons prior to the time, or as an eyewitness, as someone present, you were only trying to help them? Now, from that point till you left, what else happened? I want you to particularly take us to the time where DJ Switch said the bodies were released to the army. Why were the bodies that were felled by bullets, why were they released to the army?
So yes, during the Lekki massacre, people that we noticed were not moving, who that we checked, because we had doctors there, so we had nurses, who that we noticed that died. People were like, put them at the feet of the soldiers, let them see the people that they are killing, let them see their brothers that they are killing. So they started carrying people and putting them in front while still singing the national anthem. They were carrying these people and they were putting them in front while still singing the national anthem. So by the time everybody started going back to the stage to help, because there were people on the stage truck, a whole lot of people were kept there that were shot. I personally know a man we told to come to the front. He wanted to get money that he would use as transportation back home. And we told him, just come forward, we are going to help you out with it before the shooting started. So I noticed it was also on the truck that he got shot. So by the time I was running across, because the vans moved from the front of LCC, and they all moved towards the protest ground, kind of giving LCC a safe spot. Like they were no more shooting into else. They were not shooting into that area. They were all facing the protesters. They didn't come to disperse the protesters. They came to kill the protesters. Let me make that clarification, because there were people at LCC, but they didn't shoot there anymore. At the time when they came in the beginning, they shot there. 2 people fell there. I guess when they noticed that there were 2 people standing in front of the LCC gate, they were standing right there, 2 of the army guys, and that was when I saw them conversing. And then they moved towards that place and moved towards the protesters, like where we usually have the main protest ground, and moved from LCC. So LCC was like a safe spot. So when I saw that the van came close to the protesters, I crossed LCC because that was where we parked the cars. When we wanted to leave, that was where the cars were. So I crossed there. At the time when I crossed there, the lady and the guy that was in front that were shot, the girl said, the army said they were going to help them, take them to hospital. No one knew where they were. No one knew who took them. So I left the people at the stage. So those at the stage also said that they carried the people that were felled by bullets into the vans, that they wanted to help them. I personally know someone, he's my friend, I've known him from the protest. So it was the next morning, or 2 days later, that I was able to find him and communicate with him. he was one of the people carried in the army van. He escaped from the army van. He was unconscious. They thought possibly he died. But in the van he was in, he said there were only 4 people that were alive inside that van. He had to run. He was just putting on his boxers, and even the hospital where they treated him, everything. We have the medical reports. We have everything. So when the army comes and say that they are trying to disperse the crowd, it actually gets a lot of us really angry, because if you want to disperse a crowd, there is water cannon. You have water cannons to use. If you can even get a fire truck and use the water in the fire truck. I mean, you have tasers, you have handcuffs, but they didn't use any of this. They didn't even use rubber bullets. They came with live ammunition, live bullets.
Yes, you're holding up a bullet there.
Yeah, because they shot directly at us, directly into cars that were even moving. So
now, you said that the army were offering to help take the injured to the hospital, or who exactly was offering?
They were not offering. People carried the injured and the dead and kept at the feet of the soldiers. At that point, there was like a brief 5 or 7 minutes calm. That was when one of them was talking. I didn't know who he was. It was the next morning I started hearing his name, his Omata or something. That was when he was talking. So a lot of people were giving him attention. A lot of guys that they were giving him attention, like listening to what he was saying, shouting yes, no, like replying. I didn't give him attention, so I didn't really hear what he was saying. But we had that little brief for 5, 6 minutes or 7 minutes kind of calm when he was there. So I noticed he left and he moved and he walked towards like the 6th toll gate, the 6th part of the toll gate. He walked towards there behind our stage truck and he moved out. When he moved out, the shooting started again. So we had just a little like 5 minutes kind of brief. So that was when a lot of people had possibly was telling them that they were going to help the injured ones or something. So people were helping the army guys. They were carrying them themselves. Protesters were carrying injured people and placing them in vans. So I personally saw one person that the army guys, this was not a protester carrying, it was the army guys, 2 of them. They were putting on a round kind of face cap. Their guns were across their chest. One of them was holding a torchlight, trying to put the torchlight on the floor and lifting up the guy and putting him at the back of the van.
So did you ask them, or did DJ Switch or any other protest leader ask them why they were putting those guys at the back of the van?
So I should go and ask an army guy that is practically shooting in my face why he's putting someone in the van. He would shoot me too and put me in the van.
Were these people lifeless? Did they appear to have died? These people that were being put at the back of the van?
The person I saw was not moving. It was a guy. He was wearing white and a blue jean. I noticed it was white. It was still in blood. I noticed it was white because at the side of one of the side of his shirt, it was still showing white. But he wasn't wearing any shoes. And when they were carrying, his legs were just dangling. His hands were just, it looked lifeless. That was the one person I saw them putting in the van before I ran across the LCC.
Now, you said a friend of yours was able to escape. He jumped out of the army's van. And prior to this conversation, you said there were 2. Do you know who the second person is?
Yes.
And how did they escape unscathed from the army's van? Did they sustain injuries? And how did they get to safety?
Yes,
and do they have information about the others? What were the army saying while they journeyed with them before they escaped?
So I spoke to 2 of them. I still have one of them is even in the safe house where I am right now. So he's in the same safe house with me. So, and he got injured on his arm. That was why he fell unconscious, because the army people, when they tried to destroy the stage, so they threw the sound system, kind of like breaking it and everything. So at that point, some of the speakers fell on people. So he was one of the person the speaker fell on. He was unconscious. although had blood on his clothes, but from other people's blood, not he. So practically they thought he was dead and put him in the van too. So when he got there, he noticed that even the hospital that he got to when he was able to leave the army van, he got there, the governor also visited them there and gave them 10,000 naira transportation money. Someone even died holding his own money, like the money they gave to him. He died that morning holding it. So he was there, and he was the only way they could treat him was with his identity card, and he had no identity card on him. He had no phone because the army people took away all his identification prior to before he even got into the van. So he got treated using someone else's identity, which was the second person that was with him. Had to use his own identity card to treat him. So his information at the hospital has that person's name. His name is Lekon. The person's name he used to treat himself is Shegun.
You said the army took away the identification of those that they put in the van. Let's be clear on that. They took away the identification.
He said they took his phone and they took his wallet. They took everything. He left there with just his shorts, just his underwear, just his shorts. That was how he was able to leave. No clothes, no trousers, no nothing. Just his shorts.
Now, in the 3 seconds video that you showed me, someone had apparently been shot. And just as he moved, he fell down. And there's another man who was lying lifeless. And he's been seen in a lot of the Lekki shooting videos. He's wearing what appears to be a white and lilac or purple like a native attire. He was seen standing at the time of the protest before the arrival of the army, and then they showed him again lying lifeless. Tell us about these individuals, particularly the man in Ankara. Did he survive his injury?
Yes, the man was at the front of the protest because he was the one we asked to come forward back home that evening. So he was at the front of the stage because we asked him to come to the front of the stage. So when he got shot, when I saw him rolling in pain, I felt so bad because we asked him to come there and then this has happened to him. But then we've been able to reach him. He has had the bullets taken out of his body and he's recovering fine. So he didn't die. Luckily, he survived.
You also told me that someone died 2 days ago. I'll understand if you can't provide the name of the person. Has the family been located? And we're now getting to the point where I want to ask why family members of those who have died are not coming out to declare that they are mourning. Why?
First of all, we have a comprehensive missing list of over 30 people. A lot of families have reached out to us personally. They don't want to come out for reasons we all know about. The government, your government. And we have people who, this guy that died, he never met any of his family member until 2 days before he died. His mother had to come from Oyo State. They didn't even know he was in Lagos. We had to start sharing his info. He got shot on his head. From what the information I got from the nurse, he was recuperating fine. But complications came in, and when they noticed he died that morning, he told me that they were all shocked and surprised. But luckily, before he died, his mom and his wife, we already found them, and they came to see him. They brought his birth certificate to prove to the hospital that he's the one. They brought family pictures that he has taken with the family. So they brought a lot of pictures just to prove to the hospital. Because his name in the hospital was unknown something. I don't want to call the name the hospital. So, but when they got that information, they changed his documentation in the hospital to show the name. So it was later on that the family came. We also met someone that we were looking for his family members. They had to come from Delta State. So Lekki Tollgate protest had people from different parts of the world. I personally met someone on that protest ground that came all the way from Benin. And from Benin, it came with food, drinks, water, that he wanted to come and start. He's going to make the protest ground like his home. He's going to be cooking there every day and he'll be giving to protesters. People came from different parts of the world. I met someone that came with his CD, that he also came from Delta State. That he's a musician, he wants them to play his CD and he's going to be here for the protest. People came from far and wide. We met someone that was just coming, he just entered the country. He came from China. He just entered the country. We were like, no, please go and do your 14 days isolation. And we like threw him into the car, please go home. And I was like, no, he was coming straight from the airport and he was coming straight to the protest ground. So a whole lot of people, not just in Lagos, that was the initial reason we set up tents at the protest ground in the first place. Because we noticed at night, people were looking for where to stay. They can't go home. Somebody would tell you that they came from Oyo State. I met somebody that said he came all the way from Port Harcourt because he wanted to see a celebrity. And he was also part of the protest too. He didn't want to stay as Port Harcourt protest because he said Lekki's voice, that they show Lekki protest every day. And he wanted to have a voice as well as meet people. So Lekki Tollgate protest was not just Lagos State. When we're talking about families coming out, most of these families, they don't even know their children are here. 4 days ago, we had the body being moved to Warri from Lagos State. The parents didn't even know he was in Lagos. They thought he was in Port Harcourt to get a job. So when we keep saying, why are the family not coming out, why the families not coming, families are even reaching us, they're reaching out to us, different platforms. Because we can't make phone calls so that they won't locate us. We can't even live our lives anymore. Our lives are on practically hold right now. Our lives are on pause. Even before I did this interview, you know how we're going back and forth. I didn't want to. Somebody had to call me and told me that for the lives that were lost, if you were there, you need to get them justice. So you need to start talking. That was initially why I even agreed to start talking, because I just wanted to go back to my normal life and just leave. But I could not see such carnage, such blood and massacre that day. I practically saw someone's intestine for the first day in my life on that protest ground. I can't see such things and then still remain quiet. We need to get justice. If the families are not coming out, because most of them don't even know. If anything had happened to me that day on the protest ground, if my family were looking for me, the protest ground would be the last place they'll come and look for. The very last place. These are the issues that we have. A whole lot of families have reached out to us that they've been looking for their brothers that have been on the protest ground. But a whole lot of them are not reaching out to us because they don't even know that their children or brothers or wives were at the protest ground. Meanwhile, we know the amount of people that have been treated in hospitals. We saw the amount of people that died that day.
Speaking of which, how many people died that day?
I can't give you a particular figure. I know what I saw. Somebody else will know what he saw from his own end. Somebody else will know what he saw from his own end.
How many did you see? DJ Switch said she saw 15 bodies, that she counted 15 bodies. How many did you see?
DJ Switch was able to count that amount of bodies because she was at the front of the stage. I crossed across the LCC before I even came back to the stage. There were a lot of people on the floor. I was trying to save my own life too, as well as I was trying to help other people. I couldn't start counting. There were a lot of people on the floor. Some were moving, some were not.
How many people have died after October the 20th? From complications, as you talked about, while being treated in the hospital?
We can't say. Most of the hospitals we went to, they want us to write letters, send to the chief medical director, then they'll give us a particular figure. But we've confirmed that people died in hospital. We've made that confirmation. But we need to start writing letters, start signing. We have to send letters to put the CMD in copy and say you request this information. So that's the thing we're having. And some of them are saying we have to bring their family members to claim the deceased body. How are we going? We're still having to look for people's family. A lot of people were there. Some people even came from the shanties. a lot of them are not on social media. We've been putting it on social media that if you're looking for your family or your relative or your friend, reach out to us. A lot of people didn't see it because they're not on social media. The person that died like 3 days ago, none of his relatives are on social media. It was when somebody pasted one of the pictures we put out there and pasted to them that they saw it, that they were able to reach out to us.
Let's go back to the event of that night. There were also reports that you guys found it difficult to get the injured to the hospital because you were denied access through the Lekki Tollgate. And we in fact saw some videos to that effect. But, because of the commotion, we can't quite make out the interaction between the driver of the vehicle we saw and whoever they may have been talking with. But can you confirm to us that indeed you were prevented access through the Lekki Tollgate whilst you tried to convey the injured to the hospital?
I personally called ambulances myself. I still have the phone calls on my phone. I tried to reach them that day. They came, and I saw them conversing with the army guy for almost 2 minutes before they turned back. The second one came. He didn't even talk to the army guy in front of the toll gate. The second ambulance was talking directly to the first ambulance, and that one just came turned and followed the second ambulance out. So even when I called, they said they are not letting us in. They asked us to leave, that they are going to treat us. How can you come to shoot at people and then you have the intention of going to treat? I don't know how that works. What happened that day it can't happen in any other country. Live bullets.
Can we see the bullets again?
And we've traced. Yes, I have bullets. These are bullets. Right here. And we've been able to trace them with the numbers bought by the Nigerian army. So I don't know why they're still trying to push the blame or sound something. You don't do that to people. You don't do that to your citizens. You don't come out and start shooting at them. Even people that go out to steal, they don't shoot them at the spot. They take them to the court, and the court decides what's going to happen. We're not criminals. End police brutality, end SARS, increase the salary of the police, and create a panel to address every atrocity SARS has committed. What is wrong in that statement? What is wrong there? What is the wrong thing that we did in saying that they should increase the salary of the police force? What is the wrong thing that we did in telling them that they should stop brutalizing us? They even came that day to show us more brutality. We didn't do anything wrong. And now they're trying to make us enemies of the state. We're not free to move. We can't go to our jobs. We can't even go out. We're living like fugitives in our own country just because we asked for a better country.
Are your lives being threatened? Since you went underground since October the 20th, have you received any threats to your life or lives? Because you say there are some people who are also putting up with you where you are.
So many texts. Like I said, you can't even call me. We don't have our SIMs here. They've been taken away. So many different kind of messages online, because I was also live on my own Instagram too. So many messages, take this down or else we'll get, I don't understand. For what reason?
They've threatened you to take down your evidence. Say that again.
Yes. They've threatened us to take down our pictures, to take down our videos.
Who are these people threatening you?
There was nothing. How are we supposed to know? I think you should ask the government. Maybe they can give a specific answer to that question. I don't know.
Are these threats made via social media?
You can't come and kill people at night. You can't come and kill people at night, put off the lights, and you're still threatening them. I mean, even if you want to come shoot at people, don't kill them like you're being a coward. You put off the lights because you are being a coward. You can't do it at broad daylight. You can't do it when the lights are off because you know what you're doing is wrong and you know you're being a coward for doing that. At least put on the lights and kill us with bravery. And it pisses me off to the fact that the LCC, Losad Media, they're coming to say that it was because of the curfew. And meanwhile, there was lights inside their office, and the street lights were off.
These threats on the social media, can you identify the accounts? Can you mention the names of the accounts? These threats by people, by accounts saying, take down your evidence. Can you mention the names of the accounts?
I could send that to you. That's not the problem.
Okay. You don't remember right now the names of the accounts?
So many names, like Uncle J. There's so many names. Like they just use so many different names. Some of the messages we just delete. Some of them we just leave them there. And I mean, like I said, I've not been talking to anyone. I'm just trying to go back to my normal life until someone just told me that, and at least you have to speak up so that other people can get justice. That is why I'm doing it. Because I just wanted to ignore everything, but then I think ignoring it would not. Even if I just want to protect my own self, I think it's like I start thinking of other people too.
You said you guys have
not get them just.
Okay, please land on that point. Then I'll take my question.
I need to come out and speak up also, because as I've been trying to stay in the safe house, stay down and stay calm and stay quiet, but keeping quiet would not give justice, especially those that died. They deserve justice. They died holding the flag and singing the national anthem. They need justice.
Now, you said you got a total account of 30 missing persons, a total of 30 missing persons report. How many have you found since then?
We found about 7 people. Most 7, 8. I think I'm going to check through my mail again to see, to confirm the exact amount of people. Most of them were found at with the army. Most of them were found at police stations. Most of them were found at hospitals getting treatment. A whole lot of them were found at hospitals getting treatment. But there are still a lot of people that we've not seen, and we're still trying to locate. We have their pictures and family contact. So we're still trying to help out.
So about 23 persons are still missing. Now, let's go to the judicial panel of inquiry set up to look into issues of police brutality. And they have also, the Lekki shooting has also come up as a matter for hearing. Do you agree? What exactly coming out of that panel, as far as Lekki Tollgate shooting is concerned, do you dispute?
Where on earth does the suspect be the judge? In which country would you find the same suspect judging himself? Actually, when this shooting happened, everyone denied it never happened. We photoshopped the event. We are hallucinating. I mean, but right now, the truth is coming out and everyone is trying to push the blame, pointing fingers on each other. So the panel being set up to address Lekki Tollgate shooting and Lekki Toll massacre, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, because how do you set up a panel and tell them to address people that were killed? We want more than just the panel. And secondly, the panel was even set up by the governor, who initially came out to say that whatever happened at the toll gates were powers beyond his control, meaning he knows the people involved, but they are beyond his control. I think what the governor can come and do for every one of the Nigerians out there is to come out and tell us these powers beyond his control. Then we would know that he is for the people. Then we would know that he is not trying to hide anything from us. Because he just told us powers beyond his control. That means he knows what happened there and he knows what is going on. Now, this same person is pushing what happened at the toll gate, is pushing Lekki massacre to the panel. This same person that we want to see as a suspect is trying to put us to a panel set up by him. The panel addressing the Lekki shooting, I can say fine. But panel addressing people that were massacred, that there were a lot of people that died. There were a lot of people that got injured. The governor still had an interview and said there was no scratch of blood at the toll gate. Possibly the people they went to visit at the hospitals, they were bleeding water.
So that brings me to the next question, Sarah. What time did you leave Lekki Tollgate that night? And by morning, there was no blood stain. Do you have any information to the extent or to explain how come there was no blood stain at the venue of the protest and the shooting?
Let me address that and be very clear. That morning, there was still blood stain on the floor. There was still blood everywhere. I left the toll gate. We had to run out and drive. When we heard there were people coming to take us, I left the toll gate at past 3 a.m. that morning.
3 a.m.
And we still passed the toll gate. Yes. We still passed the toll gate the next morning where we met policemen. I have videos. I could share them with you. You can put these videos on Google metadata, confirm the date, confirm the location. You could do all that. You can do it in 5 minutes. I have videos of that morning of blood stain on the floor. So I don't understand where all this is. Because even if you want to deny an event that occurred, even if you want to deny something that you did, you don't deny something that has facts. Because there's a fact that there were blood stains on the floor. Because even if you want to say there was no blood stain, then people you went yourself to visit at the hospital, people that had critical conditions, shot on the head, shot on the chest. So I guess they were not bleeding then. If not, why did you go to visit them in the hospital that same morning of the event? So you can see that they're not even being truthful. So why do you expect us to trust the panel set up by these same people? We feel like if we need to get justice, we have to go and seek justice from the international community, which is not supposed to be so. We should have a very strong judicial system in the country that we should trust, but it is not so in the country. How can we trust the same judicial system that can award governorship candidates to the people that did not participate in elections? We can't trust them. They're not even giving us a chance to trust them because every day they keep denying the event. They keep denying the event. Lagos State House of Assembly sat down and had the meeting and nobody, not one person spoke about the Lekki Tollgate massacre. They were all talking about the looting and the shooting, which they caused. The Lekki has been one of the most organized, most peaceful protest grounds. Even if you wanted to do anything, why didn't you go to places where they were robbing, places where they were killing people, places where they were shooting? You came to where was peaceful. I mean, at the Lekki protest ground, we had snooker tables, we had tents, music, celebrities performing, screaming NSAS. It was so peaceful. We even had a lot of disabled people at Lekki Tollgate protest to show you how calm and peaceful that environment was.
Sarah, we thank you very much for your time, your bravery, and your contribution, which happens to be evidence that you have provided to prove that indeed there was shooting at Lekki Tollgate and protesters were shot at and people died. We expect more evidence to confirm how many people died at the venue, at the scene of the shooting and afterwards. Thank you very much for your time on the program today. We condole with you on the loss of your friend and the persons that also died that you saw at Lekki Tollgate that day. Our prayerful thoughts are with you. Thank you very much for your appearance on Fireworks today.
Our interviewee and eyewitness, Sarah, provides us with a number of evidence to back up her account of the shooting at Lekki Tollgate on October the 20th. Pictures of 2 corpses, one presented at the hospital dead, which she said is simply called John Doe, as there was no identification found on him. Another unidentified fellow shot and killed allegedly by the DPO of Maroko Police Station, who is also alleged to have killed a lunatic known to roam the area. She provided pictures of X-ray results of a skull, bullets, one bloodied, which according to her was removed from the head of one protester. Lastly, she provided a video of the ground at Lekki Tollgate showing a drying patch of blood. Another victim, identified as one from the Lekki Tollgate shooting, is one Francisca Agu, whose obituary was posted on the social media. She allegedly died 2 weeks after a coma induced from bullet wounds sustained at the Lekki Tollgate. TVC News reached out to the owner of the account who posted the obituary. He also tried to reach out to the family, who declined all entreaties to grant an interview to TVC News. The Nigerian army has yet again denied opening fire on civilian protesters at the Lekki Tollgate.
Everybody sit down. You don't care where you feel wrong reach. They go, if they see you say you go run, they will attack you. No, sit down.
On our part, we shall continue in our search for evidence to tell the true story of Lekki's shooting of the 20th of October 2020. Join us again same time next week when we bring you another edition of the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.